have a couple of stories. And the first one is about blue M&Ms, and you're not going to believe this is a true story, but it really is. And it came up today because of some discussion I was having with a couple of people about doing things with your life. And so once I was riding, well, just for a little background, at one point in my life, this is a long time ago, I liked M&Ms and I would eat them pretty regularly, not all the time, but I liked them. And at that time, they used to be blue M&Ms, and they had taken the blue ones out of the M&Ms. And I was at some convention or something with Alex, my son, and Kanan, I think, was there too. And anyway, we were going up the escalator, and I bought some M&Ms, and I ripped them open and took out a couple, and there was a blue M&M. And I said, look, I'm always complaining about the blue M&Ms being gone, and they're back. And as I said this, another guy is coming down parallel, in a parallel escalator going down as I'm going up, and he says, I did that. You heard? And he's going. I said, you did that? He says, yeah. So anyway, I got off the escalator, top, and I went down, and he saw me coming, he waited for me. You know, just regular looking person, and I said, what do you mean you did that? And he said, I was so upset when they took the blue M&Ms out of the M&M package that I started writing letters. And I wrote them tons of letters just telling them that they needed to put the blue M&Ms back in, and then they did. I don't know, and I didn't question it at the time. In fact, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I don't know that his letters alone got the blue M&Ms, but he felt. I think he might have even got a letter for the company. He says, thank you for your interest. We have put the blue M&Ms back. Okay. And what this made me think about was just this, that I think it's a good topic to get into tonight in relation to what we're doing, is that we do feel kind of powerless, you know, usually the standard psychological word that's been tossed around is that we feel like victims, you know, that things are happening to us and that we really can't do anything about it. And it's really not true. I mean, that attitude makes it that you can't do anything about it. I remember somewhere, I think this was in the late 70s, some of you may remember, there was a training called EST, Air Art Seminar Training, which was controversial. I always liked stuff like that. Much to everybody else's chagrin usually, I even like Scientology. I like Christian Science. I like all those things. Christian Science is another thing, but I like them. They're attempts. They don't have to be perfect. I mean, what is? You know? But part of the S training was that some guy would get you in a room and he would ask you the story of your life. I guess some of you did this. At the time when it was going on, this was around 1980, I remember. The EST Foundation was giving and welcoming any Zen trainees. You could go for free. Some of my friends did. I think Karen did, actually. And anyway, so he'd sort of ask you the story of your life, and then you'd tell him your sob story and about why things were, and you'd always not make it, as we don't, that you did it. You'd say, you know, I'm in this terrible marriage that I can't get out of, rather than saying, I have put myself in a terrible marriage, and I refuse to get out of it.
Wow.
Right? So that's what he was looking for. Okay? Not, I have a terrible job and I really can't find a way to get another job, rather than I took this terrible job when I saw, I didn't know it at first, but when I saw it was really bad, I didn't do anything about it. Now it's even worse and I'm doing even less about it. Okay, so all of that kind of thing. And then if you didn't claim responsibility for having done the events that you were in, he would call you names. And I don't want to use the same language, it's not a word I like very much, but let's use the word jerk. And he would say you were a jerk. And he'd have these people in the room. Now the big thing about the S training that everybody talked about, which I can't believe adults would do this, and it proves him completely right, Werner Erhard. I'll tell you what happened there in the end too, is that you couldn't get up and pee. You had to pee before you went in, and then it wasn't an unreasonable period of time, it was like, 3 hours or something, but you were not to leave the room, not even to pee. And this, people thought, was the most horrible thing that could be asked of a person, that they hold it in a little, or whatever, or they just, empty their bladder before very thoroughly. But people just treated this like this was Nazism, right? And anyway, and the whole thing revolved, and some people had very dramatic turnarounds with this in 2 day-long sessions, which is they, as the training put it, got it. And what they got is, est, besides being Erhard seminar training, means it is. That what they got is, in one way of putting it, is it is what it is, and they made it that. They made it what it is. Now, that would be an incredible thing, and as I've told you before, when you hear something like that from me or from anyone, it's a natural function to look at how it's not true. So please don't do that. Look at how it is true. Everything has an if, and, but to it, if you'd like it to, okay? But it's not as useful to you, right? We want something that's useful to you. So it's much more useful if you can see how it is true. That whatever is going on in your life, you put yourself there. And that, therefore, the only one that's going to get you out of there is you too.